Hello, everyone. Welcome to the smartsocial.com podcast. My name is Josh Oakes, and you're listening or watching us because you know you want to keep your kids safe on social media so they can someday shine online. I'm Josh Oakes, your host, and today we have a very important topic. Yesterday, I got a very important email from one of our members and somebody who was in one of my speeches not that long ago, and the discussion was about Snapchat. I want to welcome Mary Ellen Kramer here today from the Chicago area to the podcast. Mary Ellen, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Okay, so Mary Ellen, you emailed me yesterday. Can you walk me through kind of what the email said? And let's walk through what the discussion is, and let's help parents with Snapchat and bullying. That's today's topic. Give me a little background on what you sent to us, and then I'd like to kind of dialogue about the solution together.
Sure. It was a desperate email and phone call after I'd had zero, interaction with Snapchat. We were trying to get a hold of them. My sister, my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter had her Snapchat account hacked about 4 months ago. And we think by a friend or ex-friend who Rowan may have shared her password information with is our best guess. And she tried to delete the account but was locked out. So whoever had gotten in and hacked her account had changed all of her login information and was contacting friends of hers and kind of wreaking havoc with her friend group. So she got off of it, stayed off. Things were quiet for a while. And then the past few days, this hacker was contacting her friend group again. And so my daughter was desperate. She even called 911. That's how scared she was, because the things that the hacker was asking of her friends and information that they were trying to get, like her middle name, just various things that might be attached to her, login information. And so she finally came to us and said, I don't know what to do. I'm so scared. And that's when I tried to contact Snapchat. I even created my own Snapchat account finally, just to see. I sent a message to this hacker, said, please cease and desist. We may have to get law enforcement involved. But what was really scary and why I finally reached out to Josh was after several attempts to contact Snap Inc., who owns Snapchat, I believe, finally got a live person. And when I asked for customer service rep or help, the woman hung up on me. And then I called back and it rang and rang and rang. It was the craziest thing. So I finally thought, I'm going to try and get a hold of Josh, because I remember meeting him a couple of years ago, and just see if he'd had any experience with this and what we could do. So that's kind of where we are today. And I'm just so thankful for Smart Social that kind of calmed us down and got us off of the ledge last night where we were at. So.
Well, what a backstory. So Snapchat is where kind of this started. And it could be a hacker, but let's talk about kind of what you and I discussed on the phone last night. Number one, a lot of students, and your daughter may not have done this, but I was talking with a principal today. I'm in New York, you're in Chicago, and I'm at speeches right now for middle schools and high schools. And I was talking to a middle school principal today, and I said, we were dialoguing about how when students want to keep those streaks up, and streaks are a gamification, a quantity of back and forth to keep a number going. It's like a points thing that they have to check in every day. To do that, students will often share their password with their best friend or a couple other friends, so that if they get kicked off of social media, AKA their mom takes their phone away, typically the friend will log into their account and keep all their streaks up for them. Now, there's two things that could be happening here. And it could be that your daughter had a username and password at another website that was hacked, and she had the same password and username, and those hackers then try and log into every other account where it's at, right? That's kind of how this whole Ring fiasco, you've heard, Mary Ellen, you've heard on the Ring video doorbell, how hackers are getting in. Well, it's not Ring's fault. It technically has to do with people use the same username and password everywhere, and one website will get hacked, and they'll use that on Ring, and they get in and can live watch your house, right? And that could have been the same thing that happened with your daughter, or it could have been one of her friends who may think that your daughter's more, because your daughter gets, you told me last night, gets very good grades, might be a little prettier than somebody, and they get jealous or angry, and then they wreak havoc, right? I mean, these are very normal things. So a couple of those things could have happened. What are you guys going to do going forward?
Yeah, we, as you suggested last night, which is what we did last summer when this happened, was we took a break. We kind of just took a social media break. She was in the transition from middle school to high school, going to be going to a different private school than some of her middle school friends. And so it was a fresh start. Let's just take a break. And things were happier, definitely happier around home, less screen time. And really since then, I think she's been, it's almost like post-traumatic stress. She's gun shy, so I think she's been very careful with what she's put out there. I know a big thing that we talked about after I watched your presentation a few years ago was marketing yourself. She's a freshman in high school, but college is going to be here before you know it. My college-age sons definitely benefited from that talk. Was, posting positive things that you're involved in with our church or, community groups. So I think what just happened, this week was she just was like, holy cow, I've taken a break. I've done everything we talked about, and here we are again, so we're just going to back off again, just kind of take a back seat and see what happens,
Yeah, because I'm sure if your daughter's a normal person, which she is, this hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, this hurts. It drove her to wonder, who's her friends. And, last night you and I talked, maybe it's a chance for your family to surround your daughter and just love on her, right? And
Yeah.
also to have more in-person events and parties, and meaning like a backyard barbecue. I know it's winter in Chicago. It's in New York and it's almost snowing here, but there's
Right.
a chance to have people over, real friends. Let's forget that social media is the social part, but rather get back into social life and actually have friendships again. I don't want to sound like I'm 100 years old, but shower your kids with real people and friendships and relationships. Sometimes we forget that. I'm not saying you do, but oftentimes a nervous 15-year-old will, right? I mean, we turn into, TikTok is huge, by the way, right now. Those of you parents that are listening, TikTok, Instagram, then Snapchat in middle school. Typically, it's those three first, and then it's YouTube, and then it's oftentimes text messaging in that jumble. And we often forget real people can be really fun to hang out with. So how's your daughter feeling?
She, it's funny, on the way home last night, my son picked her up from her basketball practice. She texted me on the way home and said, can we just take a break from the conversation? Because, we were up really late the night before, just really scared, and she said, I just want to take a break. So let's, not talk about it. She said, I'm not going on social media. Let's just leave it, So she seems better and kind of, redirected, but it's a cautionary tale. And one of the reasons, when you asked if I would talk about it was I wanted to share it because I just hope no other families go through this, because it's really scary. And it's I think I shared with you this last night. 4 years ago, when my college age sons were in middle school, there was only Facebook. And, our rule was not till 13 years old would you be on it. And then my now 15-year-old, when she was 11, she had this onslaught of social media, Instagram and, all of these things that her friends were on that we were like, you can't be on yet. She snuck it. She grabbed a tablet, created an account, even though we were trying to monitor. She says now, I wish I'd listened to you. I wish I had not been in such a rush to dive into the social media, realm. So, she gets it now. I wish she would have, kind of listened, but it just a cautionary tale to other families, to help your child navigate through this,
Yeah. And other families, if you're listening to this right now, educators, Mary Ellen's very bold. And other families, if you have a good story like this and you want to share it to help others, we would be forever grateful at Smart Social. And a couple key takeaways. One, Mary Ellen, you're now on the same networks as your daughter, right? Number two, you're fortunate to have a great relationship with her. Not everybody has that. And most students, they will not default to, let me go tell my mom what happened. And that is human nature. It's a normal kid if they want to tell everybody and go to all their best friends who are 13, 14, 15. By the way, those kids, I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to say what everybody's thinking. A 13, 14, 15-year-old has zero wisdom. Zero. They have not
Right.
seen the world. Let's be honest.
Right.
You can love on them, but you can still parent them. They have no idea how to make a dollar, right? So, and they have no idea. They don't have a vocabulary around how this feels. So Mary Ellen, last night when you and I talked on the phone, we reminded each other it's important in somebody in your role to just be a independent third party, even though you're only as happy as your weakest child at this point, your saddest child, to just love on your kid and say, nope, we're jumping off for a little while. And it's less emotional for you a little bit by just forcing her. You're on the same apps as your kid. You're able to surround your child with love and activities and adventures and ice cream, just going on out and doing things, watching TV together, by the way, great screen time, movie night as a family, amazing. And then also, for anyone that's listening to this right now, if you think your kid is just humdrum doing great because they're high tech and they understand these devices, this iPhone that you gave them, remember, parents, you're giving them access to 7 billion people out there, 7 billion people, and you're expecting them to have the emotional intelligence to know which of those people are predators, how to deal with pornography. I mean, and then also that these devices and every app like Snapchat is gamifying the experience to get them to open it. And by the way, TikTok, parents, if you're not on TikTok, get on it. It doesn't have a pause button. 30 minutes goes by without you even knowing it. And it took me a little while to we analyze it. We have a little course on it. And I realized there's no pause button. It just rolls into the next video and you don't know how to close it unless you close the app. Mary Ellen, I'm so proud of you. What would you tell other parents where their daughter might be either quiet or hesitant or wondering what to do because social media is difficult right now?
Well, a really good, suggestion you made at your talk was have your child tutor you. I'm such a newbie, with this, and I don't know how to navigate everything. So, kind of let's share it together, so they've been my tutors going through it, and staying friends on the, knowing that we can see each other's things, because then they think twice about what to post. If they know mom or dad's watching, they may not, necessarily post stuff. So they've just we're kind of partners together on this journey, and realize that it's huge, it's such a large thing. And to realize that you have to take breaks from it, don't go down the rabbit hole, social media. I mean, I've done the same myself, Facebook, you look up and it's, like you said, 30 minutes later or something, and you're like, holy cow, where did that time go? So just putting your own stops on yourself.
Yeah, Mary Ellen, I have this analogy that I use in some of my speeches. And this is my water bottle I'm holding up for everybody listening on audio. And I promise it's a 1.5 liters. But what I tell students is, imagine your favorite ice cream flavor, students, and imagine we went to the store together, your parents and you bought a gallon or a half a gallon of your favorite. It could be strawberry, vanilla. It could be Neapolitan, Rocky Road. Just imagine your favorite. We go, we buy a huge canister of it or whatever it is. And then imagine we sit you down in front of Netflix and we go, here's a spoon and here's the half gallon. I got to go do some work in the other room. I'll be back in 3 hours. Have fun. Students, what would you do? And the students will yell out in the audience, we would eat it all. And they're like, yeah, because Mary Ellen, they have no idea when to stop. Because us humans, we love this sugar, right? We go, oh, even as an adult, I love ice cream, right? And so this really hits home for me. But that doesn't make ice cream bad. That just means in small quantities, it's good. But in large quantities, we may not know when to stop. And I always remind students and parents and myself, hey, and it's an old dietary thing where if you just take 2 scoops of ice cream and put it in or a scoop and put it in a small container, then it feels like you got your body goes, oh, I'm going to fill the container up. And within moderation, ice cream is a great thing to have as a family, as a treat. It's awesome. But if you have it unlimited and you don't know when to stop, and you give your kids a phone, which is ice cream, and you just say, figure this out, then all of a sudden they won't know when to stop. And one more thing, I mean, first of all, they're going to eat a ton and it's going to affect them and they're going to feel so good. It might make them just not feel great. But also a lot of us will give kids phones and let them sleep with them and go to bed with them. And a lot of times that's like giving a gallon of ice cream next to the bed. They wake up and like, I can't sleep. Oh, I'll just have a few scoops of that. And that messes with their sleep, which messes with their growth. They're studying the next day in school, their attention span, and all kinds of different things, their rest. And so it's just important to note that these devices are designed to addict us. They really are. I mean, if the company is doing well, if Instagram, and I'm sorry to harp on this, but if Instagram is successful, we will all check it 50 times a day. If they're successful. And that's what success means to them. It doesn't mean monitor your time. If the iPhone is successful, we will never leave it in the other room. We will always have it with us. And so we're fighting that. Perhaps the apps are not our friends. Perhaps the apps are, dare I say, the enemy. Even though I'm all for building a resume with the apps, what you just hinted at is so true in that if they're successful, then we won't know when to put them down because we'll be addicted.
Addiction's the key too. It does, because it's almost, sometimes when you take away that, you see that, antsiness that, where in our day, we picked up a book, right? You read, or, they're so keyed into the electronics that, you have to walk the line. And we've had that conversation with all three of our kids, everything in moderation,
Everything in moderation. Yeah. Hey, Mary Ellen, I want to thank you. If there's any parents or moms out there, especially moms, I'm rooting for you. We at Smart Social believe that moms are the safety captain of the family. They put on that safety hat every day and they are protecting their babies. We're rooting for you. Dads, if you're doing it too, more power to you. We love you. And we're here to help. We have a free app. It's Smart Social in the App Store. Wherever you get your apps, you type in 2 words, Smart Social. It has awesome free resources. I've got an amazing staff that's working on 2 incredible blog posts every week that detail the good and bad apps every single week. We've got this podcast. Please rate, subscribe, and review wherever you're listening to this at. Parents, please remember to be on every app your kids are at because it's giving them full access. Don't worry, well, I don't know what to do and they're on it too much. Dive into it with them so you fully understand that app, how people behave on it, and if you're comfortable with your kids being on it alone. That's a really big key. Also, if you have to wait a little longer to give your kids that phone, they'll hate you for a short while, but they'll thank you. Just like Mary Ellen's 15-year-old, Mom, now I see that you were trying to protect me. And we never want to hear that years later, but we understand that by keeping them off just a little longer, you'll do that. And then remember to charge all the devices in the same room at night. And then also set an example for your kids. We all look... If we're on our phones and kids are talking to us, it's okay to have a family mobile minute, right? You're hearing it here first. Hey, let's all check our phones now. Literally forcing your kids to check their email or whatever. Let's do it together. Okay, we're off and we're back and we're talking. Put it away, right? I mean, literally just saying we're exercising restraint, diving in to the addiction and jumping out. And we're doing that together to see the things. One last thing I want to give everybody who's listening to this right now. Consider taking a 1-week social media hiatus here in 2020. I do it every year. It's usually over the summer. I think I'm going to do 2 a year now. I just announced on all my accounts, hey, I'm going to take a week off. You know how to get a hold of me, phone or text. I'm just going to, delete the apps from my phone and keep them running in the background somewhere else. And I take a week off, and boy, does it feel great. When I come back, and every student admits this, when they come back, they see that app in a different way. They see it for what it is rather than it doesn't give them the happiness that they thought it did. So consider that. Your kids might hate you the first week, and then all of a sudden they go, I don't need this as much. The addiction subsides. They no longer need that stimulation, if you will. Mary Ellen, what last words do you have for people?
Just good luck on this journey with social media with your kids, and just keep it a partnership. keep the love together and keep it a partnership and keep the lines of communication open, because that's key. That's key.
That's awesome. Thanks everybody for listening and for watching today. Please rate, subscribe, and review. We'll see you soon at smartsocial.com. Thanks everyone.